If you're watching this, you're in luck because I'll be showing my full Persana AI Apollo SendGrid setup for AI outreach. I've did a part of that earlier this week, but this is a full video from A to Z on how to set up a fully automated tech stack that should bring you anywhere from 10 to 100 meetings per month. So tune in for that. It starts with Apollo, and yeah, you might want to pause the video at various stage till you buy these accounts. Apollo, you're gonna buy $100 plan, a pro plan, right? That will allow us to get 10,000 contacts per month, and 10,000 we can send up to 3,000 emails per month the first month with 5 mailboxes that they give us. We're gonna plug Apollo with SendGrid. SendGrid allows us to send up to 50K emails a month. That is $20 a month, the Essentials 50K plan. The mailbox and the domains, we're going to set them up on Namecheap. Buying a .com domain is $8. And hosting the domains is $35 a year, so incredibly cheap. You can build however much email address you want from there on the cPanel, right? So this will be the full stack. And of course, we're going to build the emails hybrid with Apollo lists and build the AI stuff on Persana, which is one of the best software out there to build AI emails. It's quite wonderful. So we're going to dive into that. This video should be about an hour. Unfortunately for me, I'm Mr. Impatient, but yeah, let's dive right into it. So I already had an Apollo account, right? They're not going to ask you for much, but don't set up the 2 weeks free trial. Just like buy 100 pro plan so that you can not hit any hurdle. Once you have your account, the first thing you're going to do is like append this unsubscribe link to not annoy people. You're also going to append the one-click unsubscribe link here. You're going to turn the enable open tracking because that ironically will get us in the spam. You hit save and just write your name here. So Charles Cormier, and the title should be CEO. So that's the quick setup of the account, right? Here you're going to plug mailboxes, right? So for creating mailboxes, you're first going to have to buy domains, right? So you can choose a couple of domains lists. By the way, people hire me for that because it's long and boring and somewhat technical and prone to many errors. So what I send my client usually is this. It's the course, right, that they can follow step by step, but also I send them this here for the Apollo setup. For example, you're going to see where I'm getting at with this. This here, the Apollo setup. What we recommend usually is just like your real domain name, get, go, try, join, think, like just add a verb in front of your domain name and get a .com. That's really important. You absolutely need a .com. Then once you're done buying them on Namecheap, Namecheap might do some verification on you. So yeah, just double check that. They'll send you emails and so forth. So get done with that ASAP. Once you buy the domain, you're gonna buy a shared hosting plan, a Stellar Plus plan. I personally bought Stellar Business because I'm doing huge volume. As you can see here, I have like 15 Apollo Pro plans just on that account. I have 3 accounts. Stellar Plus should do for you. Okay. So you're gonna buy the Stellar plan, and let me come back to Namecheap here. You're gonna redirect the domain that you bought to your cPanel once you're buying the shared Stellar Plus plan, right? So how do you do that? You click Manage here. The default should be Namecheap Basic. You're gonna want to switch to web hosting DNS, right? And click the check mark here. And then you're pretty much done with like the Namecheap interface. You're gonna go to hosting list and go to your cPanel so that we can create the mailboxes, right? The Apollo account, you'll need to set it up with an account that you'll have created here on the cPanel. More on that later because SendGrid needs that. That's a requisite, right? More on that later. So once you're here, you go in domains and you're just gonna take the domain that you bought on Namecheap and you're gonna add it here. Create new domain, and you're gonna add your domain, right? Get domain whatever .com, and you're gonna submit. That's gonna take like 30 to 40 seconds to load. Once it's done, you go in email accounts and you create your email account, right? So I was doing that for you here. I'll be setting up with my company, ListRate. ListRate is a list enrichment company. We enrich lists with AI, and I'm gonna create 5 mailboxes on my Apollo today for that. So this is not the mock training. I'm really gonna be sending from that account. So as I already have a bunch of email, I decided to create Charles GPT. It could be just Charles, right? It could be charles.ceo. I decided to create charles.gpt at listray.com. I'm into AI, so that's what I do. And yeah, so I'm going to create that. Wait a sec. I think I already had that account. What is it? The Charles agent one, I think. So charles.agent. Charles.agent. Yeah. Okay, so I am done creating that account here. I'm just gonna reshare my screen again. And yeah, you're gonna create 5 of those, right? So I already created a couple of those. If you go in list raid here, these 3 I'm gonna use. You're gonna want to put the unlimited so that you never run out of space on these mailbox, right? If you do volume, you're certainly gonna run out of space, right? So you just click unlimited. At some point, if you do very high volume, you're gonna want to switch from Stellar Plus to Business, right? Because you're gonna run out of in nodes. As a start, you shouldn't bother about these details. Another important details. I told you you could buy 5 domains, right? If you're lazy and you don't do a lot of volume, you could just buy 1. That's also an option. But if you want to be sure, you can buy 5. That's usually what I do for my clients. If you buy 5 domains, you're going to want to redirect them all to your main domains, right? And even if you buy 1. So, for example, you take, it's a permanent redirect, right? And you select the domain that you just bought, and you redirect it to your main website, for example. And then you press add, right? So that when people see your cold email, some of the people, they check your last email address because people have trust issues nowadays, and they'll copy paste it in the browser. And if they're not redirected anywhere, they're like, oh, this guy's not legit. I'm not doing business with that person. Or they will see that you are indeed legit, and they will go to your website and actually reply to your email. So, okay, now that we've created the mailboxes, we're ready to go and plug them in Apollo. So let's do that under my account here. And just for clarity purposes, I'm gonna add list raid CEO, listraid.com CEO. Not even the .com, just like list raid CEO, just to not get in the spam, right? So you're just gonna have 1 user. Don't get confused because I have so many. You're gonna go here, and then you're gonna go in mailboxes, right? And then you're gonna plug all the 5 mailboxes, right? So let's see here. I'm gonna do one for you, the last one that I did. So Charles at list raid, Charles.agent, I think I did, right? Charles.agent. You select other, right? And then you go with view all providers, IMAP, charles.agent@listrate.com. Put the password here. And then here it's listrate.com, listrate.com, 456. You're going to do that 5 times, right? With your 5 mailboxes that you created. The start is going to be at 50. I don't recommend ramping up using Apollo's ramping up. What I do recommend though is having your own podcast and your first campaign being a non-AI one, and just be like inviting your ICP on a podcast. And more on that later. I'll also drop a training on podcasting and podcast funnels. These podcasting campaigns are so good that they drastically increase your open and deliverability rate because no one flags you as spam. It's such a great offer, right? So I do recommend starting your Apollo account and warming it up, quote unquote, with such a campaign. You'll get leads. You won't have to wait, right? It's insights, it's market insights, it's networking with people, and ultimately monetizing your pod. More on that later. So no ramp up for now. And yeah, 50 per day. I do recommend increasing this by 5 on a weekly basis. So next week it should be 55. The second week should be 60. The third week should be 65, and so forth. Here in the signature, just gonna put like your name and your title. You can put your company if you want, but I love keeping it stupid simple. Don't put link or images in there. That's gonna be bad for the spams. Now, what we're gonna do, we're gonna integrate with SendGrid. I already have my SendGrid integration, so I'm just gonna try to guide you here without confusing you. You're gonna open a SendGrid account, and they might do security checks on you. You might not be able to get SendGrid working from day one. Unfortunately, most people already have accounts, and in the US, this might not be true. If you're in the US, they might trust you more, and you might be able to set it up from day one. But what you're gonna do, they're gonna send you a checklist of like 4 setup things to do, right? Like first you set up your name, your address, and all that boring stuff. But eventually, what they'll ask you to do is to validate that you own this domain, right? I think I already did it for the domain I'm about to show you, which is ListRate, but let's see. So for that, you just click on following their steps, right? Otherwise, I'm gonna go in sender authentication here, and domain authentication. And like I said, I think ListRate's already done. ListRate. No, it's not. Perfect. I'm gonna do it for you. So you select your host, Namecheap. Yes, you want to brand the domain links so that it doesn't show SendGrid, it shows like ListRate, right? The domain is listrate.com. You don't need to check the advanced setting. So for that, you're gonna have to copy paste all of this onto your cPanel zone editor, right? Zone editor. You're gonna select ListRate, which you already redirected, right, from Namecheap to there. And then we're gonna have to copy paste the campaigns, the names, that is, not the campaign. So these are all CNAMEs. So you do the one by one, CNAMEs, right? That's 1. There's 6 to do, so 5 to go. Then you want to see the green message popping out. So yeah, boring step, but you need to do it. And the purpose of that is that we're going to connect the API of SendGrid in Apollo so that you can get in the inbox and avoid the spam. SendGrid is the best API to get you out of the spam. Multi-billion-dollar company acquired by Twilio. We're also building on Apollo, by the way, because again, it's a multi-billion-dollar company. It's solid. I mean, they're slow on innovation, but you want to go for reliable and not necessarily the flashing Jaguar that will break, you know. Wouldn't qualify Paul as a Toyota, maybe a BMW, who knows. Okay, so now that this is done and that you validated the ownership of these records on your cPanel, you're gonna click here, I've added these records, and check, and you want to get that message here, it worked. Okay, and after that step, SendGrid should ask you for your plan, right? So we're gonna go, I'm just gonna show you how to select that plan. This is really important because if you send without SendGrid, you're just gonna get in the spam, and this is never gonna work. So yeah, put the billing method and then your products. Me, I have the Essentials 50K and I'm paying a shitload. Well, not a shitload, only 120 for this month, which is pretty decent for now. But yeah, you're gonna select the Essentials 50K, right? Essentials 50K is the basic plan. It's this one here. Okay, this one you're gonna select. Once you select this plan, you're gonna be able to have your own API key, right? So you're gonna create an API key, and just gonna not share the API key, right? But yeah, once you click create an API key, it's gonna bring you to a special key, right? I'm not gonna show you the page, but you can just copy that long ass snippet, which is sg dot blah 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 blah. You copy that, and you're gonna paste it in Apollo in the integration section, right? So let me share back the screen here. Integration, so just write integration. I'm gonna go in SendGrid integration. I have a couple of integrations which are not useful, HubSpot and Zoom, right? That's not super useful for this video. You're gonna paste the full API key here. You're gonna select use the SendGrid as default for entire team. You're gonna have to update the Apollo account email to the email you just to the domain you just verified in SendGrid. Okay, so to avoid confusions here, because I understand that was somewhat confusing. Let's say that I just approved the listtrade.com domain via SendGrid, right? And yeah, so I have this full domain approved now, right? Or it might be the whatever email address you created. The email that you're using on your Polo account here, I'm using Charles at Podfire. I would have to change it to charles@listrate.com. Else, the SendGrid integration is not gonna work. Okay, so the Apollo email, the user email, you need to change it. They're gonna send you an email to change it, right? You're gonna click on that email so that the SendGrid integration can go forward, because SendGrid is trusting this domain that you just approved, right? It's not trusting the email that you set up your account with. So once you do that, you click on the integration and you click fix setting, okay? You click fix setting. All right. Once you click fix setting, you're not gonna track open. You're not gonna track the click thing, and you're obviously gonna click enable webhook authentication here, right? And you will click save. Okay, so now that we've integrated SendGrid, we've got the power, we've got the juice. We can now send to people we've also plugged, or 5 mailboxes. We can send very powerful campaign to people. The only asterisk is like, where do we get these email replies when someone replies? A lot of people, they're checking the replies in Apollo's dashboard, but I don't like checking it from here. I'm using Canary Mail to do that. To plug your Canary Mail account, it's quite simple. Canary is free, by the way, that's why I use it. And you go in accounts, you click the plus here, charles.agent@listrate.com. You click other, charles@listrate.com, charles.agent. And I'm just gonna copy the password here, charles.agent. I'm gonna reshare the screen. All right, so Canary Mail, you click show advanced, and this here, you copy paste it there. The host name is listrate.com. Here it's the same. And here, instead of 587, it's 465. Click sign in. IMAP validated. Here you can copy paste the address twice and click continue. You do that with your 5 mailboxes, right? So that you can keep the responses. I just looked at my mic, was I on mute again? Okay, now that we've set up the Apollo, we've connected with SendGrid, we've got our domains or emails, we can even take the replies. We're gonna want to send a campaign. The first campaign I suggest, the podcast one. I'm gonna share the template right now so that we can start the warming up, right? Not AI assisted. We're just gonna create from scratch. I usually tag my campaigns with the date because Apollo doesn't have that feature, so it's quite useful to understand when you launch that campaign. And we're gonna get into an AI campaign. What I can do is show you like a quick format to, 3 custom AI questions for a podcast, right? Obviously, we could convert that with 3 reasons why you should use my services, 3 campaign ideas for your company if you're an agency, and so forth. I made a bunch of video for these. You can check them on my YouTube channel. I have a playlist. I think it's called AI Cold Email Masterclass, something like that. I have like 20 plus videos. I'm making like 3 per day. So you'll have a bunch of campaign ideas. Point is, if you start like no AI, you're like invitation as a subject line, and then you'll be like first name, would love to have you on my podcast to discuss company, and vertical. Vertical's an Apollo tag. Not all contacts will have it, so don't bother if like 100 or 200 on 1,000 don't send, right? Can I send you more info? This is going to be a first campaign for warming up the account. You're going to get a bunch of people to say yes, and you're going to want to send it to your ICP, right? So for example, if I want to keep it really simple for the purpose of this video, I'd go and search. I'm out of contacts for this month. I already used them all, so I'm going to have to use my old contacts. But regardless, let me just show you what I mean here. Apollo gives you 10,000 contacts per month, right? So you click email status validated, job titles. Let's say I want to interview CEOs. Let's say founder for that one, founder. And you don't need to do that, and you'll see like a bunch of additional filters that I have here because I clicked more filters and I added a bunch, right? You don't need to have all of these, but for the purpose of that contact, that campaign, I'm just gonna select folks that I added like 2 weeks ago, right? So that I make sure that these are fresh prospects. But regardless of that, in your case, if you want a specific niche, you're gonna want to click the industry filters here, and even better, the keywords, right? So keywords, I mean industries, for example, there's no health tech, right? So if you want to target health tech, for example, you can click health here, and keywords you can write tech. So here you have health and tech, right? Hybrids. Me in my database, since like 2 weeks, I've only added 4, right? But yeah, just for an example, right? Like, but health, let's say in the last 2 weeks, founders of health companies, I had 82. In your case, you can add 1,000, even 2,500 to your first campaign. The goal is to at least launch 1 campaign per week. When you're starting, me, I'm launching 10 per day, which is a lot, but I'm very bullish on cold email, as you probably know. And yeah, basically target your ICP. You can put their titles, you can put the number of employees, you can put the revenue, you can put if they've posted a job, you can put funding, right? One of my favorite also is growth rate. Is their company growing? So growth, you just go to headcount growth and press 15. In the last 12 months, they've grown by 15%, which is pretty good. So yeah, that's a couple of filters, and then you will add these contacts to campaign, right? So in my case, let's see how I call this campaign. Yeah, I call it 24th September. Anyway, it's a podcast. So I am selecting the full 8.2K. In your case, it's going to be net new, right? Net new contacts. You're not going to have any saved contacts if you're starting this from scratch. So I'm going to add to my podcast campaign. I'm going to select rotate mailboxes, and I'm going to select 3 of my mailboxes, 5 of my mailboxes, right? In your case, you're going to have 5. Me, in my case, I have a shitload. So I'm just going to check all of these mailboxes so that it rotates the mailboxes and it sends a proper volume that's not overwhelming one of my mailboxes or getting myself into trouble. I'm gonna add all the contacts to this podcast campaign as I drink some tea. If it's 8K contacts, it's gonna take a while, right? And in my case, I'm just gonna check these boxes, not important. The boxes you don't want to check generally is like no longer verified email, right? In your case, it's gonna be net new. You won't have that message that you just saw. And then what we can check together is generally the campaigns that I launch for my clients, they're 3 steps campaigns, right? So there's 3 days in between all campaigns. So right now I'm just filtering the campaigns by the created date. Do you see my little podcast campaign that I launch? And it's lagging because it's adding 8K contacts, which is GPU heavy. Next steps, I'm just gonna show you real quick an intro to AI. And I can show you the custom fields as well since we're here. These AI campaigns, they're much more powerful than what you just saw, right? The vertical thing. I'm gonna show you the result of that campaign, by the way, once it loads. 66%. Yeah, basically you're gonna see that the email mentions their company names and their niche, right? Which is pretty good. It's not revolutionizing as a campaign, but what I like about that one and why it's a classic is that it's such a few numbers of characters, which get us inside the mailbox without any spam problems. Plus, the person likes it because it's really digestible. It's so short, and it's an offer most people can't refuse, right? So To see the campaigns, me, I like going in emails here. All the folks without a vertical tag will not be sent to, by the way. So don't worry if you see like some of these emails saying vertical. So yeah, that's the email here, which will be sent to 8,000 person. In your case, could be 1,000, could be 2,500, like I said. And that would be the signature here, right? There's no link, so that email should very much get in the mailbox and so forth. Um, so yeah, that's what I recommend as a warm up. Now, we could do a more AI complicated campaign. I probably won't have, yeah. I'll do it like on 1,000 contacts for the purpose of that video so that you see that it's simple. So yeah, because 10,000 contacts, which is usually what I launch, takes a whole lot of time. So let's say 25th of September. I'm just duplicating that campaign, right? AI podcast campaigns. And obviously, the outcome of this campaign is that you're going to get replies in your Canary mailbox, right? That's the outcome of that campaign. Now, for the AI one, let's see how quick this whole thing can load. Um, we can start by creating the structure of emails. Not really important where you start exactly. Here is 3 questions I'd have for you. And then we'd be like 3 AI podcast questions, 25th Sept. This is going to be the AI tag, right? And just follow what I'm doing because it might not make sense for you right now, but you save it. And then you're going to open a new tab in settings. And in settings, you're going to go in custom tag. And you're going to put, 3AI podcasts, 24 Sept or whatever we said we put here in the email. Because this tag is not naturally included in Apollo, right? What are custom tags in Apollo? You have the company tag, you have the industry tag, we have the keywords, the vertical tag, we have the company size tag, the revenues tag, which is not always available, by the way. But yeah, here, once you're in settings, now everything's becoming slower. My computer. You just write custom here, and then you go in contacts, and then you go in custom fields. So you click custom fields up there, and then you're gonna add this new field that you copy pasted from your campaign, 3 AI podcast questions, right? So remember what was in the email here. Apollo is hella slow. Just gonna close some stuff here. Share my screen. Force quit. Okay. So as I should have more GPU juice, just gonna reshare my screen here. So, okay, AI podcast campaigns here. This was the AI tag we're gonna build together, and I pasted it here. I selected multi-line text, put 1,000 max character length, not really important, save. And now we have this new tag inside Apollo, right? We're gonna have to create some AI questions with Persana, which I'm gonna get into. But first, we're gonna export a list of 1,000 contacts that we're gonna use here for 3 AI questions. So I'm gonna go to my former search. Former search that I did here. I'm gonna put managing director. See how many managing director I can get. 3.5K. All right, so I'm gonna export all of these contacts and I'm gonna import them in Persana. Persana is gonna be a pro plan that we're gonna take. It's $90 a month. And what you're gonna want to do is connect your OpenAI API key, right? And for that, you need an OpenAI account, right? You're gonna go to platform openai.com. Just before I confuse you, here's Persona, right? And while I tell you the API stuff, I'm just gonna upload the list in there. Sorry if I'm confusing you at that stage. But yeah, Apollo should be done exporting the 3.5K list that I just have shown you. Usually it takes a couple of seconds to load the export. Meanwhile, it loads. I'm just gonna show you the Open AI API key thing that I was mentioning. So once you have your account here, you go in API keys, you create a new API key, and you're gonna copy paste this into Persona. I'm gonna show you in a second what that looks like. I'm gonna share my screen to give the opportunity for Apollo to load. And yeah, I just clicked download here from Apollo. So let me just reshare my screen. So yeah, basically I was in Apollo here. It finished loading, so there was a green bar, and I clicked the download button, and it loaded the list right here, right? And this list is what I'm gonna upload on Persona. So I'm gonna go in downloads here. That's the list. Gonna press upload. And we're doing that for the purpose to customize a response for each prospect, right? I'm gonna get into this by the time it loads because it'll need to do like 3,000 contacts. And we're gonna talk about the prompt itself. But yeah, we're gonna press use AI here. And I already have a preset prompt that I save. I'm gonna tell you more on that while the list loads. So I just press like full data here and I copy paste this. This is like all the Apollo data. And we're gonna get to that like once it starts loading. Here's the full data about my target prospects. I fitted all the data. Come up with 3 podcast questions for them. Only return the 3 questions numbered and with statistics, not return asterisks or quotation marks. I'm gonna tell you more on the prompt later on. I just clicked save and run for 10, and yes, at this stage, it's gonna ask you for the open AI key. It's returning missing input because I did not click this box here, which is important. So I'm gonna do it again. And the goal here is just to see like the question it asks we as the person, right? We are gonna get onto that in a second. So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm just looking at like the structure of this, right? Which looks pretty good. So I'm just gonna download the CSV to just validate with you while it's running the full thing. I'm also gonna call it, um, I'm gonna call this column the exact column that I called it and I tagged in Apollo, right? Which is 3 AI podcast question 25 of September. I'm pasting here. And I'm gonna download so that when it loads, I'm gonna explain what just happened here. I'm also gonna show you the prompt here. Docs. So new doc. So action export. Okay, yeah, okay. So 3 custom AI questions. So I'm gonna run it for the full thing. And while it loads, I'm just gonna explain what happened here because that was a lot to digest. So I'm just gonna take the CSV that I downloaded and put it in a Google Sheet, because your goal before feeding it to all, if you're not experimented like I am, is to validate if these answers were good, right? So I'm uploading it in a sheet so you can see in a very clear way what's happening here. So that was the return for the first 10, 3 podcasts. I'm just gonna highlight it and yeah, so that it's obvious to you. And I'm gonna delete all these random columns that are not gonna be useful for us. It's pretty long. And what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna show you other columns that show you what the company is doing so that you understand that the 3 questions it suggested made sense. I'm also gonna bring it near the keyword section, which will also help us see what this company is about, right? Okay. Now that we have this done, I'm just gonna wrap around so that we can just compare the answer that GPT gave us. So this company is about event management, integrated advertising, social media management. We tell story. Okay, so it's a 360 agency. So and yeah, the advertising strategy straight up boom. So yeah, these questions are good. They include some statistics because I asked the GPT to ask it about some statistics, right? So this one, it took like their small team of 6 employees and education management. Let's go check out what this company is about. Education management, okay. 6 employees, so accurate. Let's go check where the GPT is while we blabber about the results. So yeah, it's almost a third done. You can see it running here at the bottom of my screen. So guess we'll continue judging its responses and blabbering before it's done so that we could, yeah, we can come back when it's done loading here. One parenthesis while I have you here is that here in OpenAI, you'll need to feed it some money so that you can increase the tiers. What are tiers? Me, I'm on tier 3 right now. Everyone starts at tier 0. And how do you get to tier 3 so that you cannot be stopped by usage? Because what will happen is that it will stop at like row 200 here and be like, you don't have the right to do some more because you're at tier 0, tier 1. Well, tier 3 has a very, very large limit, right? So I'm not risking getting stopped. So you just pay it like $100. And if you pay it $100, you'll automatically be upgraded to tier 3. You won't have any headaches. The API key should also be easy. I don't foresee other problems with GPT, but if you do, you can just message me. In this dashboard, because you'll be paying Persona as well, $90 a month, you can see your usage. Let's go see my usage. I know yesterday I messed up, so I used like GPT Turbo and they charged me like $100. So you don't want to use Turbo for sure. Let's check. Let's go check my usage. So I have $8 in my balance, and where can I see my usage again? Billing. There's like a nice page where I can see like all my my daily usage, right? I think I'm using like $10 a day nowadays, but I'm using it very heavily. Um, Usually, I also have a dashboard. So OpenAI might improve there. Okay, dashboard might improve their UX. So usage here. Okay, so yesterday I messed up and yeah, I spent like $100, but yeah, I spend like $10 a day. So that should be your GPT bills, and in your case, should be like $1 or two. Okay, now that we've discussed about that, um, wanted to show you like the prompt itself and the results, because yeah, we're about halfway there to the GPT, which should give me the time to tell you more about the prompts and the results. Just gonna finish going through the results, and I'm gonna go through the prompt and also tell you about the next couple of steps here. So, okay, this one here, it's about flexible capital solutions to business service distribution and logistics. So yeah, the question's accurate, but it's a bit long. I also asked long questions on my podcast. I'm guilty of that, so no big worries about that. It's yeah, generally it's pretty good. As you can see here, also like highlighting the private equity and 5 to 10 years and 60%. I generally, I'm just gonna close this window down here, and we're gonna talk about the prompt. Tricks about prompting so that you can make sure that your AIs are working well. We're also going to talk about the next step once it's done loading, like how we're going to upload it, because we did the custom field, right? So at this point, if we're done with the custom fields and we're done with the email should be good to roll. This is the prompt here. So, I mean, if I would structure it right, I would just put spaces like that so that GPT understands. And you just want to feed it data that's available on Apollo. The ICP is not there, so you can delete that. Annual revenue is not always available. Total funding as well. Some people just don't have any funding. Um, Come up with three podcast questions. Only return three questions numbered with statistics. Do not return asterisks or quotation marks. I'm mentioning do not return asterisks or quotation marks because, yeah, it returns them and people know that it's AI written, and some people are turned off by that. Here I mentioned numbered because we want one, two, three. And yeah, like sending that email will be very powerful for them. So you'll get like big ballers on your podcast. Yeah, high net worth people, because they'll see that you research them, right? And that you're being different. And again, I very much recommend starting with these, but you could replace this prompt if you would like to sell your company service with this here. Come up with three Twitter ad campaigns that this prospect could use, right? Only return the three uh, the three X ad campaign ideas, Twitter/X, right? And just that is basic. Sometimes you want to be like less than 30 words per suggestion, per campaign suggestion, right? Sometimes you'll want to feed it your full company info. Here is my full company info. You can copy paste it from your website quite literally. Um, so yeah, that is power right there. I'm just gonna return to the campaign here that we built together, just to remind you what it's gonna look like, and just correct some structure. There's a big truck coming, so I'm just gonna close the window. And this here, yeah, this will work out pretty fine. So this section here will be modified. Next steps, we're gonna import the campaigns, right? So I'm just gonna uh, open the import tab on Apollo while I check like where we are at in this list. Should take probably like 2, 3, 5 more minutes. We're almost done. GPT is quite quick. So the import tab in Apollo, it's in people, right? So you go and search, you go and import, you go and CSV. Now that you've done the custom field, right? And that you've written the email, and you're gonna go in select file and import contacts. Let's see like if it's done. GPT is pretty fast. It surprises me how quick it is. We're gonna give it 2 more minutes because it's almost done, but not there yet. And if you send them like sales campaigns, obviously you're gonna get less leads, but you're gonna get more qualified ones, right? Via the podcasting campaign, which might not always be qualified leads. You're still targeting your ICP. But yeah, this should work pretty fine. And then the trick with the custom tags is that you cannot see them in generate preview. See here, it's still showing red. And if it's showing red, usually it's a bad sign. But in these AI campaigns, it's not a bad sign. You just need to go in the emails tab, right? But yeah, when you go in the emails tab, you also need to launch a campaign, else it won't work. So you need to press the little launch here, the little rocket ship icon. Launch, and press launch. And you're going to want to clear filters. You're going to see why in a sec. Because this here taking a bit more time. Just going to close a couple of those while this is loading so that it can progress faster. We're almost done with this video. I'm getting somewhat tired here. All right, close, close, close. Progress super fast, and then it went slow. I think it's done. Yeah. Tree custom. Okay. So as you can see here, it's done. We're just gonna go in action and export. And here, this Apollo import tab, the Persana export is gonna auto download here, as you can see. Did it twice. You're gonna select the file, Tree AI custom question. You're gonna upload it here. And the very last tab is what's interesting for us. It's our custom AI stuff. You're just gonna scroll down and select Tree AI podcast question 25th. You're gonna import it, right? Importing this list, how much context was it? 3K? Some values cannot, some user cannot be mapped. Oh, shit. So we have more than 1,000. So yeah, I said previously that it didn't matter the limit, but it does matter. So you're just gonna go in the custom tag, right? And you're gonna find the tag that we just did, which is just write like 25 sept. And you're gonna modify the text limit here to 10,000, not 1,000, right? And that should fix this bug here. So let's just do a hard refresh here and import the list again. And go again at the end, which is where it's getting interesting. 25 September. And click import. We shouldn't get the bug now because we removed the character limit while we upgraded it to 10,000, right? So this list is 3,000 big. It should take probably 2 minutes to load or something like that. Maybe a bit more since we're using AI here. So while this is loading, what I'm doing, I'm always producing more campaigns. Just to close this off, because we're about to finish this video in less than 5 minutes, what we've covered today as a conclusion is how to set up an email address, a domain, right, on Namecheap, how to connect it to Apollo, how to connect Apollo to SendGrid. Apollo gives you 10,000 contacts. SendGrid gives you up to 50,000 emails a month. How to send and warm up your 5 first mailboxes that are sending 50 emails each, a basic setup, the unsubscribe, the signatures, the no links in there, right? How to set up these first campaigns so that you get nice open rates. Open rates are a big problem nowadays in the industry as Google is chopping heads off, we warm them up with a basic podcast campaign when you start. I'm going to make a full video about podcast lead gen strategy, or you can go on my LinkedIn or my YouTube and search a keyword podcast. I post about this all the time until I deploy this training. But you start with this campaign, you talk to your ICP. After you're done talking with them on a podcast, you can pitch them with your service, can add them to your newsletter and so forth. You get insights from these people, you get sales, right, from your ICP. So ultimately, very powerful stuff. And then what we're doing right now, we're almost done here. It's setting up that list, but it's customizing AI podcast questions using Persana, which is connected with an OpenAI API key. We're doing custom tags in Apollo so that it understands this tag. When we're importing that list, we just tagged it in front of you here, what I've shown you. And with that, we can send a podcast campaign, could be a sales campaign, could be any campaign that you like, right? So that the guest is more likely to accept your invite because it's so much more personalized. It shows them that we're doing the work. It also shows them and signals to them that we're a great host, that we already have a structure in front of us, so that they're way more likely to accept your invitations, and you'll get very high quality guests doing that. But then again, you could have launched this AI campaign for direct sales, right? Like you just take what your company does, you give them the prospects info, and then you ask the AI, how could we be a good fit? You can get very deep into prompting. The last thing I'll say before this list is done uploading is that I'm using Claude to help me create prompts, right? So, for example, the last prompt here, um, let's see here. I'm like, how can I improve this prompt? There's like a bunch of guides about prompting. Good ones are on GPT or in Claude, for example. But yeah, Claude is helping me improve prompts, right? It's giving it like more details, giving it example and so forth. So yeah, Claude for prompt is very, very useful. So the list is done uploading, right? I know because it says contact CSV import here. And I'm gonna select this full list that we AI enriched together with 3 custom podcast question, and we're gonna add it to the AI podcast campaign, right? Now I could select the list rate account I told you about, but yeah, I'm gonna select some podcasting one here. So pod, 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 pod. As you can see, I scaled the crap out of Apollo with a bunch of mailbox. So I sequenced them to the AI podcast campaign. And now as you return to the podcast campaign here, you may want to hit a hard refresh because it's starting to add the emails, right? And yeah, Apollo is crunching data again. It's taking a bit of time, so bear with me just to see the final results of that campaign. When you have a lot of data like I do, Apollo can be a bit slower, and it's done. So let's go see the results. What we should see is like the 3 AI podcast campaign questions that we previously did together, right? If everything worked well, and if not, you need to double check your stuff. And yeah, seems to be working here. So here are the questions, right? And that's beautiful. So that's it for today, guys. If you have any questions about the setup, you let me know. I wasn't really attentive to the chat here, but I think I did the full cover up of Apollo and how I set up my own systems. I even included some AI stuff in there. I'll do a masterclass on podcasts as well pretty soon. So stay tuned for that. And if you have any questions, reach me on LinkedIn or email.